Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, where we explore tips, techniques, and tricks to help you improve your English skills and speak more fluently. I'm Sarah, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Ben.
Hello, hello. Thanks for tuning in. We're so excited to have you all here with us today. If you've ever felt nervous or shy about speaking English, or if you've ever found yourself struggling to find the confidence to just start speaking, you're definitely in the right place.
Exactly. Today's topic is one that a lot of learners find challenging. We're talking all about how to practice speaking with confidence. And here's why this episode is so important. By the end, you're going to have specific strategies to help you overcome that hesitation, build confidence, and speak English fluently in everyday situations.
Yes, and stick with us until the end because we've got some unique techniques for practicing alone, real-life scenarios where you can build up your confidence, and a special method called shadowing that will teach you to help you sound more natural. You're going to walk away from this episode feeling empowered and ready to speak up in English.
So, let's dive right in. Why is confidence so important for fluency? Well, confidence is the bridge between knowing English and using it. When you feel confident, you're not overthinking every word. You're focused on communicating and expressing your ideas.
Absolutely. Confidence also makes you sound more natural and engaging. If you think about it, some of the best speakers aren't perfect in grammar or pronunciation. They're just confident and clear with their ideas.
Right. And listeners, let me ask you a question. Do you sometimes feel like you know what to say in English, but you hold back because you're afraid of making a mistake? If that's you, then today's episode is definitely for you.
So true, Sarah. And speaking of making mistakes, confidence actually helps you embrace those mistakes. Because let's be real, everyone, even native speakers, makes mistakes. It's a natural part of communication.
Exactly. So now, let's explore some ways to start building that confidence in small, everyday situations. Here's a question for you, Ben. What are some everyday situations where people can practice speaking?
Good question, Sarah. Well, everyday situations are often the best opportunities to practice. For instance, you could practice by talking to the cashier when you're shopping, asking for directions, or ordering food. Simple moments like these don't require long conversations, but they give you the chance to say a few sentences with confidence.
Yes. And even if you're not in an English-speaking country, you can still practice by talking to yourself at home. I know it sounds funny, but self-talk is actually a powerful tool.
Absolutely. You can narrate your actions like, I am washing the dishes or I am cooking dinner. This gets you used to hearing yourself speak English without any pressure.
Now, let's show an example of what a conversation could look like if you're practicing with a friend. I'll pretend to be a learner. And Ben, you can be the native speaker.
All right, let's imagine you're at a coffee shop and you want to practice ordering in English.
Hi, can I have a coffee, please?
Sure. Would you like a small, medium, or large?
Medium, please. And can I have a little bit of milk?
Of course. That will be $3.50. Do you want any sugar?
Yes, just 1 spoon of sugar, please.
All right, coming right up.
Thank you.
It doesn't have to be complicated. Even a short exchange like this gives you practice with greetings, ordering, and polite expressions.
Yes. And even if you make a mistake, it's totally fine. What matters is that you're speaking and getting used to it.
So, let's break down some key phrases from that conversation that you can use in your own practice. Sarah, can you explain "can I have" for our listeners?
Of course. Can I have is a polite way to ask for something. You can use this when you're ordering food, drinks, or even asking for help. Like, can I have a pen? It's a great phrase because it's polite but also simple and direct.
Yes, and it's versatile. Another phrase is just a little. You used it to ask for just a little milk. It's a way of asking for something in a small amount. If you're at a restaurant, you can say just a little salt or just a little sauce. It sounds very natural.
All right, let's go over a few natural expressions you can use. One is coming right up. This is what the barista said after I placed my order. Coming right up is a friendly, casual way to say that something is on its way or will be ready soon.
Exactly. It's common in places like restaurants or cafes. If you work in customer service, you might even want to practice using it when you're helping customers.
Yes. And another expression is thank you. This might seem basic, but it's such an important phrase. Saying thank you confidently and with a smile really shows politeness and makes the whole interaction more positive.
Now, let's repeat that coffee shop conversation, but we'll slow it down. This way, you can really hear each phrase and practice it yourself.
Hi, can I have a coffee, please?
Sure. Would you like a small, medium, or large?
Medium, please. And can I have a little bit of milk?
Of course. That will be $3.50. Do you want any sugar?
Yes, just 1 spoon of sugar, please.
All right, coming right up.
Thank you.
There you go. Now, listeners, try practicing this exchange on your own. Imagine you're ordering at a coffee shop and speak each line out loud.
Now that we've practiced a little, let's talk about another technique to build confidence. Shadowing. Ben, do you want to explain this one?
Sure. Shadowing is where you listen to a native speaker and then immediately repeat what they say, trying to match their tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. It's a way to shadow or copy them, which helps you get comfortable with the sound and feel of English.
Yes, it's a fantastic technique. You can shadow almost anything. Movies, podcasts, even our episodes. It helps you build fluency and get used to speaking without thinking too much.
Exactly. And the great thing is, you don't need to memorize anything. Just repeat what you hear, even if it's just a few sentences. The goal is to practice the sounds, not the words.
Let's try a quick shadowing exercise. Listeners, repeat after me. Today, I am practicing English confidently.
Great, now try this. Confidence is my key to fluency.
Well done. You can use this technique with anything you listen to in English. The more you shadow, the more natural your English will sound.
All right, listeners, we'd love to hear from you. What situations make you feel nervous about speaking English? Is it ordering food, asking for directions, or talking with friends?
Yes, let us know. Share your experiences in the comments, and we'll respond to as many as we can. You're definitely not alone, and we'd love to hear your stories.
Building confidence is one of the most important parts of becoming fluent in a new language, but it's also one of the hardest parts. You may feel that even if you know the words, putting them together confidently can feel really intimidating.
So, today we're going to discuss why confidence is so essential for fluency, give you examples of everyday situations where you can practice speaking, and even talk about some special techniques, like shadowing, that can boost your speaking confidence.
Let's start with the big question, Sarah. Why is confidence so important for language fluency?
Great question, Ben. Confidence helps with fluency because when we feel confident, we're more likely to speak without hesitation. Fluency isn't just about knowing vocabulary and grammar. It's about being able to express those ideas naturally and smoothly. When we hesitate, we sound less fluent, and that can make us even more nervous.
Right. And it's also about communicating effectively. A confident speaker can still make mistakes, but because they speak clearly and without fear, their message usually gets across. Listeners will focus on the main idea, not every little error. Have you ever noticed that?
Absolutely, Ben. People really do pay more attention to your tone and clarity than whether every single word is perfect. And I think this is why practicing confidence can actually be more important than memorizing rules. If you speak with energy and enthusiasm, you'll naturally sound more fluent.
I think that's a really good point. So, let's get into some practical ways listeners can build confidence. Sarah, what's a daily situation where someone can start practicing their speaking skills, even if they're just at home?
One simple way to practice is by talking to yourself. It might sound a bit funny, but self-talk is a powerful tool. You can do this while cooking, cleaning, or even in front of the mirror. Try narrating what you're doing or even just describing your day out loud. You'd be surprised at how effective it is for building confidence.
Yes. And it's a low-pressure way to practice. No one else is listening, so you're free to make mistakes and just enjoy speaking. Plus, it helps you get comfortable with hearing your own voice in English, which is actually very important.
Definitely. Another way to practice is to talk to your pet if you have one. Pets are great listeners, and again, there's no judgment. Just try saying a few sentences in English. It can be a great way to practice if you're a bit shy to speak in front of people.
And if you don't have a pet, there are still plenty of ways to practice. For example, if you're out shopping, you can try speaking to the cashier in English if you're in an English-speaking environment. Even small interactions like, "Thank you," or "Can I have a bag, please?" are great ways to practice.
Yes, real-life practice is essential. These little moments are often the best way to build confidence. You can practice ordering coffee, asking for directions, or even chatting with a friend who also wants to improve their English.
Exactly. And if you're looking for a more structured way to build confidence, you can try something called shadowing. Sarah, do you want to explain shadowing?
Of course. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a native speaker and then repeat what they say right after them. It's almost like echoing. For example, if you're watching a video, you try to repeat each sentence right after the speaker, imitating their tone, speed, and pronunciation.
Shadowing is such a powerful tool because it helps you develop the natural rhythm of English. Plus, it's fantastic for confidence because you're practicing exactly how a native speaker says things. And since you're not thinking about what to say, you can focus entirely on how you say it.
Yes, and it's so easy to do. You can pick any YouTube video, podcast, or even a movie and shadow the dialogue. The goal is to try and match the native speaker as closely as possible. This helps train your mouth and mind to get comfortable with English.
And it's totally okay if you don't sound exactly like the speaker at first. Just keep practicing. With time, you'll start to feel more natural and confident speaking English because you're training yourself to speak with the same rhythm and style as native speakers.
Let's give our listeners a quick example. I'll say a simple sentence, and you can try shadowing along with me, Ben. Ready?
Ready.
Today, I am learning how to speak with confidence.
Today, I am learning how to speak with confidence.
Perfect. It's as simple as that, but when you do it repeatedly, it really starts to make a difference.
Right. So, we've talked about some techniques, but Sarah, do you have any personal stories of a time when practicing helped you build confidence?
Oh, definitely. When I was learning Spanish, I used to practice shadowing with Spanish podcasts. I also tried talking to myself in Spanish while doing household tasks. At first, it felt a bit awkward, but over time, I felt so much more confident. And when I actually got to use Spanish with native speakers, I noticed a huge difference in how naturally I could speak.
See, that's inspiring, Sarah. For me, it was speaking to store employees when I was learning French. Even simple phrases felt like an achievement. After each small conversation, I felt more and more confident.
Exactly, Ben. Small wins lead to big confidence. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And to our listeners, remember, confidence grows gradually. It won't happen overnight, but if you keep practicing, you'll get there.
So true. And speaking of small wins, we'd love to hear about your experiences too. What small steps have helped you build confidence? Try telling us in the comments, or if you're listening on a platform with a chat feature, send us a message.
Yes, share your experiences. And one last reminder, practice, practice, practice. Don't worry about perfection. Confidence comes from doing, not from being perfect. So get out there and start speaking.
All right, Sarah, let's dive even deeper. For our listeners who might feel really shy or nervous, what would you say are some baby steps they could take to gradually build confidence?
Great point, Ben. One approach is to set very small, achievable goals. For instance, let's say you're nervous about speaking to others in English. Start by practicing just one sentence out loud every day. It could be as simple as, "Hello, how are you?" Or, "What time is it?" This way, you're not overwhelmed, but you're still practicing daily.
I love that idea. Little by little, these short sentences add up and become a habit. And once you're comfortable with one sentence, you can try adding another. Over time, you'll realize you've built up a bunch of sentences you feel confident saying.
Exactly. And another small step you can take is to practice in front of a mirror. This is sometimes called mirror speaking. You look at yourself, make eye contact, and practice a sentence or two. It might feel silly at first, but it really helps build your confidence because you're getting used to seeing yourself speak.
Yes, mirror speaking is fantastic. It also gives you a chance to focus on your facial expressions and body language, which are a huge part of confident communication. If you look confident, you'll feel confident.
Absolutely. And speaking of body language, listeners, try practicing with a good posture. Stand up straight, shoulders back, and take a deep breath before you start speaking. It can make a surprising difference in how you feel.
That's a great tip, Sarah. And listeners, if you're somewhere you can practice right now, try it with us. Take a deep breath, stand or sit up straight, and say out loud, "I can speak confidently." Go on, give it a try.
Yes, let's take a moment and try it together. Deep breath. I can speak confidently.
Feels empowering, doesn't it? Remember, confidence is as much about mindset as it is about language skills. So, Sarah, let's talk about mindset. What kind of mindset do you think helps with building speaking confidence?
I think a big part of it is accepting that mistakes are okay. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. So instead of aiming for perfection, aim to communicate. Tell yourself, it's okay to make mistakes as long as I'm learning. This makes speaking feel much less intimidating.
Yes, totally. And listeners, remember, each mistake is actually helping you get better. Think of it like this. If you never speak, you'll never have the chance to improve. But each time you speak, you're learning something new and building your skills.
Absolutely, Ben. Here's a question for our listeners. Do you have any fears about speaking English? What are they? Take a moment and think about it. Maybe even write it down. Then, try thinking about ways to overcome that fear, one small step at a time.
That's a great exercise, Sarah. Sometimes just identifying what we're afraid of helps us move past it. And if any of our listeners are worried about speaking with native speakers, remember this. Most people will appreciate your effort, even if you make mistakes.
Yes, definitely. And you know, sometimes sharing that you're learning can actually make conversations easier. For example, you can start by saying, "I'm still learning English, so I may make mistakes." This can make you feel more relaxed, and it sets the expectation that you're working to improve.
That's a good point. And if you find a language partner or a friend who's also learning, it can be a great way to practice without any fear of judgment. You're both in the same boat, so you can support each other.
Exactly. Practicing with a friend is such a confidence booster. You can even set up a routine, like meeting once a week for a quick chat in English. It's less pressure than speaking with strangers, but you're still getting valuable practice.
Now, Sarah, here's another technique I've heard of. Recording yourself. How do you feel about recording yourself speaking as a way to build confidence?
I love that technique. It might feel strange at first, but recording yourself is a powerful tool. When you listen to the recording, you can hear things like pronunciation, pace, and even confidence level. It gives you a chance to reflect and improve.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a long recording. You could just record a minute or two talking about your day or describing something around you. Then, listen to it and see what you think. You might even surprise yourself with how well you're doing.
Yes. And here's a tip for anyone who might feel nervous about listening to themselves. Try to be kind to yourself. Focus on what you're doing well first, and then think of one or two things you'd like to improve. Keep it positive.
Good advice, Sarah. And if you keep recording yourself regularly, you'll start to notice your progress, which is a big confidence booster. You'll realize that you're actually getting better each time.
Exactly. Progress is often slow and steady, but when you look back, you'll see just how far you've come. In fact, listeners, we challenge you to record yourself speaking every day for a week. It doesn't have to be long, just 1 or 2 minutes. At the end of the week, listen to each recording and see if you notice any changes.
Ooh, that's a great challenge, Sarah. So, listeners, are you up for it? Record yourself each day, even if it's just a few sentences. By the end of the week, you might be surprised at the improvement.
And remember, building confidence is a journey. Don't rush it or be too hard on yourself. Each day you practice, each word you speak, brings you one step closer to becoming a fluent, confident English speaker.
Well said, Sarah. And with that, we want to thank all our listeners for joining us today. Confidence takes time, but we know you're all capable of it. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself.
Yes, thank you, everyone. If you found these tips helpful, let us know. And if you have more questions or want us to cover more topics like this, send us a message. Until next time, keep speaking with confidence.
Goodbye, everyone. Keep practicing, and remember, you're doing great.